Hey guys, what's up? It's Dave. I'm back with another video this week on I'm going to do the changes to Retribution Paladin skills. So this would be stuff you would find in your spell book. Last week I did Retribution Talents for BFA. So stick around. I'll probably do a video on Protection Paladins and also Holy as well. The best way is to check my Twitter. Everything that I upload goes directly to my Twitter as soon as I upload it, and anything that I find out gets uploaded to Twitter immediately. So definitely follow me on Twitter, like and subscribe if you like this video, leave me any comments, and I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. So first up for Retribution Paladin, we just have like the aura. And we're getting a modified damage healing done, -5% on these abilities. There's pretty much almost every ability, every damage ability is getting a nerf by 5%, but it really doesn't mean it's a nerf because we're getting such a big stat squish in BFA. Instead of having millions of health, we're going to have tens of thousands of health. So a lot of these are just little fixes that are going to be compensating for that. So even though it says it's -5%, it does not necessarily mean it's still not going to do a whole lot of damage, or it's going to be much different than what it was in Legion. We got Flash of Light. That's getting a 53% increase on the healing done. That seems like that could be a buff to me. It's also going to cost 25% more mana, but for the 53% healing, I think that's a fair trade-off. Flash of Light has seemed very underwhelming to me in Legion. Next up we have Consecration. It's getting a buff to 300% damage done. So Consecration is going to be on a 20-second cooldown in BFA instead of a 12-second cooldown, so the uptime on it is going to be really low. And I think this is what they've done, is they have just buffed the crap out of Consecration so it does so much damage, it'll make up for that lost uptime. Okay, so that's just like the overall stuff. I want to start getting in down here. Okay, so I want to start off down here at Mastery. Mastery is almost completely different. Mastery used to increase Judgment damage by 35% and cause Judgment to increase damage taken from your Holy Power spenders by 14% for 8 seconds. That has been completely changed to now Mastery, which is called Hand of Light now, increases the damage of your holy damage abilities by 13%. So this is just an overall 13% increase to all your holy damage abilities, which if I remember correctly, the only physical abilities that we have is Crusader Strike and Blade of Justice. As far as I know, everything else is holy damage, even in going into BFA. So we do have Blade of Justice does get changed here. It strikes an enemy, dealing 200% of attack power down from 755. But this may seem like it's a nerf again, 755% down to 200% attack power. But again, we're having a stat squish, so really these numbers don't really mean a whole lot until we can actually get in the game and try it out for ourselves, because there's just such a difference between you know, what the stats and health were in Legion compared to what they will be in BFA. Blade of Justice still generates 2 holy power. That's still really good. Cleanse Toxin is going to cost less mana, so I'm going to assume that we're probably going to have less mana overall, because Hand of Hindrance is also getting a mana. It's not going to cost as much mana either. So I think in comparison we're going to have less mana even in BFA than in Legion. So Divine Storm unleashes dealing 42% of attack powers. That seems like a lot, down from 275. It's also not going to create a second Divine Storm, and it's also not going to go forward, because all that was on your artifact trait. And you're not going to have your artifact anymore. The only thing you keep from your artifact is Wake of Ashes, and you don't even get to keep everything in that. So Divine Storm now is just around you. It doesn't move, it doesn't go anywhere. It only hits once. So that's what's really changing with Divine Storm. Not really the percentage of damage here on the tooltip. That doesn't really affect it as much as not having your artifact power or artifact weapon now. So next up, Flash of Light. We kind of went over that. It is getting a buff to healing done, but the spell power tooltip is getting changed. But that's again in order to compensate for the stat squish. Greater Blessings of Kings. Nothing important with that, except they're still trying to figure out what paladins are going to have as class auras. A lot of people think that it could be a Blessing of Kings again, Blessing of Might. Some people think that it might be Devotion aura. Some people think it might be something else, a Retribution aura. We're not totally sure what kind of aura we're gonna get. So Greater Blessings of Kings may or may not be there on release day. So Judgement is a lot different now. Used to, it would hit an extra enemy, and now it only hits one target. And it used to increase the damage of your spinders for 8 seconds. Now it is only one spender. So if you judge something, the next spender you use on it will be the only spender you get that takes increased damage until you judge again. So that's going to be a bit different. I definitely think Judgment, not cleaving, is going to probably hurt our AoE a bit. Especially with that talent that we have now that increases Judgment damage by a ridiculous amount. Imagine if it's still cleaved. You might actually be able to make something like that work in certain fights. Retribution. When a party raid member within 40 yards dies, you gain 20% increased damage done and 30% reduced damage taken. A lot of people, a lot of Retribution Paladins that I know, they don't even know about this skill. They don't even know it's in there. They had no idea. It actually took me a little while to figure out myself, so it's not like, you know, a bad thing or anything like that, but definitely need to make sure you know that this is in your spell book. And I have a weak aura for it, and I'm not telling people to go jump off cliffs and die, although I do sometimes. But just knowing when it's up during a fight, and if you have wings up too, and you're like, oh well, I've got Retribution up, I might as well just wings because it's probably going to be my best opportunity. Just kind of helps you figure out when you want to use, if you want to use cooldowns, or just to know when that extra buff is there. Save up a bunch of spenders for it. But they have changed it. It's still within 40 yards, but it only gives you the buff for 10 seconds now. So cut in half. It was a really OP skill, so I can definitely understand them nerfing it. This is how paladins would just top logs all the time. They would just have groups and of like 30 or 40 people, and a lot of those people would die off through the fight, so the paladin keeps up a ton of uptime on this retribution buff, so he has pretty much 20% increased damage the whole fight. Of course you're gonna get top logs with that. So I'm glad they're doing something about it. I think a lot of people are. I really love the buff. It was a lot of fun, in my opinion. In some ways, definitely not on like progression, I guess. But on fights that I had already done a million times, and we're just kind of killing to get out of the way. This could be a fun thing. Could be a really fun thing to use. So the next one is Shield of Vengeance. Creates a barrier of holy light that absorbs 30% of your maximum health and damage for 15 seconds now. So it's no longer based on your attack power, it's based on your health. Which should be fine. That's probably about right. It probably is not going to be quite as strong as it was in Legion. 30% of your maximum health. But that is still pretty good. When the barrier is consumed, all damage absorbed is dealt as holy damage divided across all enemies within 8 yards. See, they have fixed this in BFA. In Legion, you had to stand and stuff to get the shield to break for it to even do any damage. It had to be broken. If it just fell off on its own, it didn't do damage at all. So this is going to fix it so that even if you don't break it by taking the maximum amount of damage that it needs, it will still break on its own, and it will still cause whatever damage you did take, even if it's not enough to break the shield. So the last one on here, Templar's Verdict, same thing pretty much, just 105% now instead of 560 like I said before, just the stat squish compensation there. It should feel about the same. It should be the same skill. It shouldn't feel any different. The only ones that are really going to feel different is Judgment. Judgment's going to feel a bit different. Divine Storm is going to feel different. Definitely. And Consecration is going to feel a little different because you're not going to be able to. It's just because the cooldown is so long now. Wake of Ashes no longer dots, as far as I can tell. So, but it does slow now, 50% movement speed, I believe. So that's still pretty good. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Keep updated. Like I said, if you like the video, subscribe. Keep updated. Look me up on Twitter. As soon as I come out with a video, as soon as I have any news, I put it on Twitter. I also do memes or just kind of stuff I do throughout the day. Follow me on there. And thanks for watching. I hope to come back with some more videos. The next one I'll do is probably going to be Protection Paladin talent changes. I think they're pretty much done changing them, so it'd be good to get into a video about those. But yep, thank you for watching. Y'all have a great day.